We're going to be covering how you can set up your page structure, also adding in a table of contents, and also showing the document outline and the different options that you have for this in order to quickly organize and work with your document. Let's apply some structure to the document. Let's add in some headings. And then from the headings, I'm going to go ahead and add in some more content here. So if we had some content here, maybe a user information, give this one a heading 2. So within the document, on the left-hand side, you're going to see that there's a document outline. So what the document outline will do is it's going to provide a summary of that current document, and that way you can check to see the various parts of the document where you've got the headings, and you can click those and it will automatically scroll the document to those locations. You can also, within the document, if you do use the headings, you could insert a table of contents under the Insert tab, and now you have to scroll down right to the bottom there where it has the table of contents. There's two options, table of contents with page numbers and a table of contents with blue links. So let's go ahead and we're going to add in the table of contents with the page numbers. And there's also an option to add in page numbers within the document. So going into Insert, once again, under the footers, there's an option here to add in as a footer. You can customize the footer and add in the page numbers. And just below that, there's a page numbers option. So selecting the page numbers option, you can either have the page numbers in the top right-hand side, so starting with the second page, starting with the first page, and there's also more options here. You can set the page count as well. So under the more options, this allows you to select where you want to position the page numbers, so either in the footer or the header, and also if you want to include the page number on the first page or not, and also the number that you want to start the page numbering at. So let's go ahead and we're going to just add in the page numbers. And then once the footer is created, this is where you can customize where the page numbers are going to sit. So if you want to center the page numbers, you can just use the formatting tools within the docs in order to customize those. In addition to that, there's also an option that you can add in customized content into the page, and then we can resize that differently than the page numbers. So once you click off of that, that's going to now be applied to all of the pages that you have within the document. There's also an option under the file and going down to the page setup. It's going to let you apply different settings such as the paper sizes, the orientation, and where you want to apply that particular structure into. So you can select either a selected piece of content. So if you have something selected, that's going to be up here. Right now it's grayed out because there's no content selected, or you can apply it to the whole document. There's also the page size. So these are commonly used page sizes that you can select, and this is going to automatically resize your pages. So if, for instance, you want to use an A5 and apply it, you can also set that size as the default. So any new documents that you create are going to automatically set to that page size. You can also change the page color. And then there's the margins that you can set. So these are within inches. So you can set the different top margins, bottom margins, left and right margins. And once you've constructed it, you can also set this as a default, or you can just use it for this particular doc by pressing OK. So now that structured and restructured my page with the different background color and the different width for the page. If you select under View Ruler, this is going to give you the ruler size, and you can resize indentation within the ruler as well. Let's go back into it and select the page setup, and then go back to the original letter size and the background as white, and then reapply that new structure. And because I did move it with the ruler and I changed the indent where we're indenting the content, this is also going to still stay once I resize the page. So you can just drag and reset your indentations for your document page. Also, when you're viewing your document, there's a number of different ways to view the document. So right now I have the zoom in at 150%. I'm going to zoom back out to 100. I'm going to close the outline. And if we want to see the text larger but not increase the browser size, you can also change and adjust your zoom. So you can adjust it to 200 zoom, so that will make the text larger, and notice that the icons still remained the same size. And this is going to be different than the page zoom, because the page zoom will zoom in the entire page, including the icons, whereas just the zoom for the document zooms in only the document. I'm going to keep my browser zoomed in so that the icons within the doc are bigger for recording. Now that's not going to be necessary, like typically when you are working on it, you can just keep it at 100%. And if you do want to update and change the zoom of the text, you can do that directly within the docs. So also under format, you've got an option for the page orientation. So this will allow you to change either to landscape or to portrait, just as we did within the page settings. So it's just another easy way to update that formatting of the page. And then for the headers and footers, that's going to open up the margins for the headers and for the footers. You can change it and have it different for the first page and different for odd or even pages. So that gives you more options that you can apply to the headers and footers. So if you want to insert headers and footers, that's under Insert. And if you want to format it, it's under the Format. There's also a format for the page numbers as well. So this is once again where we can set the start numbering and set it within the header or the footer. So whatever position we want to set the page numbering. So if I apply it to the header, we also have the page numbering on the footer. So you can have them both on the header and the footer, although that's a little bit confusing and typically you'd want to avoid this. So you can select, whenever you select the header, you can double click that and you can select to open up the header format, select the page numbers, or remove the header entirely. And they're very similar options to what we had with the insert, where we can select the header and the footer. There's also shortcuts for the headers and footers as well. And once you do update your document, because I do have the table of content, it's not going to automatically update. So when you do make some updates to it, you need to update the table of contents in order for that new content to show. And it's going to just take whatever the heading information is and apply that directly within the table of contents. You can customize it, where you can copy the link to it, you can edit the link, and you could also remove a link to it. So now when you click it, it's no longer going to have a link to it because the link has been removed. If I update the table of contents, that link is going to come back. And selecting it, and from there you can select and add in the different heading sizes, and that's going to affect how it's going to show up within the table of contents and the indentation that's going to be provided for that particular heading.